Wake Up MLS here with your weekly predictions video. We are ahead of match day 10. As this video prediction comes out, we're going to be predicting every single matchup for match day 10 in a little bit of a different way. If you've been tuning into Wake Up MLS so far up to this point in the season, we've done just kind of, I would say pretty laissez-faire, walking through every single matchup that every weekend holds, predicting winners and losers. This time, we're going to mix it up. We're going to do a little bit of a tier list. But before we get there, I am joined by a fantastic crew today. All right. So on the docket with us for today, we have Kevicho. I got a feeling he's going to be bantering quite heavily with Riley from First Touch Media. Riley, welcome back, bro. I appreciate it. We got Hector from Insert Name FC, and we have the legend Ednan from We Are Austin TV here again to predict match day 10. Icon.
Let's not throw that word legend loosely out here.
You're right. Especially after the rule proposals this week, right? MLS being its usual MLS self, creating rules out of nowhere. We'll talk about it a little bit as it kind of progresses through the show. But for today, I already teased it a little bit. We got a tier list on the agenda. Let's go ahead and pull it up, boys, and we will start predicting away. So first on the agenda for today, Atlanta, Cincy. And on the tier list, guys, it's very straightforward. Winners, losers, maybe it's like a draw. We'll kind of predict them all the way through. And at the very bottom, I just want everybody to know that Philly's got to bye this week. Thank God, no more Jim Curtin complaining. Okay, so let's move on to Atlanta versus Cincy. How are we feeling about this one? Atlanta at home, Cincy coming off an interesting result, right? At the end of the day, Atlanta's been a force. I think they're the best home team in MLS this season. Is it safe, even without Giakoumakis and Gregerson, because they're still out, is it safe to just go ahead and lock in Atlanta United, even though it's against a pretty decent side in Cincy?
Whew. I don't know. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm a big Thiago Almada fan, but sometimes, like, I complained about him 2 weeks ago, and I was like, the dude isn't doing anything. And then he makes some insane through ball pass that just makes up for it. But
don't believe in him.
You know what? Thiago Almada is overrated, guys. I'm feeling. No, I think after that game, especially like how I've been watching all the fans react and the players react to, basically dominating for the most part and then losing it all in the last 10 minutes. I feel like they're going to come out like fired up, just like really intense. So I would say it's a safe lock for Atlanta at home, like you said, to take it.
Yeah, I kind of think so too, just because of who they are at home. I mean, does anybody think, since he started off slow this season, right? They lost to Montreal 2-1 last week. It was on the road, right? Take that for what it's worth. They are ranked the best team in MLS in goals conceded per match, so their defense is holding up. Without Giakoumakis, maybe there's a chance there, but realistically, anybody backing Cincy in this one, or even a draw, maybe?
These are two real even teams. When you look at that table, one of them is right on top of the other. So there's not really much of, there's not really gaps of differences between both of these sides. At least that's what I would think. And I really want to go with Kevin's point on this, the fact that he said that ATL is the home team in MLS. When I'm in a situation like this where both teams are kind of even, you don't really know who you're going to give it to, just give it to the home team, because that's who ends up winning most of the time these kinds of matches. I think that was a great point.
Yeah, and I think they're also just so damn good at home. Like, just it's crazy what a fortress that stadium has become. I don't know if Atlanta United are the biggest sports team in Atlanta. I don't know, maybe. But I feel
like Falcons, bro.
Hey, no. Hey, listen, I need Atlanta fans to chime in on this one. I don't know if Falcons are as big as Atlanta United. I really don't, man. I see a turnout for the Atlanta United games that I feel like maybe the Falcons can't match. I don't know. Again, maybe that's my bias.
I can't believe you just said that. I can't believe
bro,
you
hey.
We just got Kirk Cousins, that quarterback, man. That's
yeah. Oh, yeah. Woo! Let me backpedal really quick.
No. I might even argue for the Hawks. The basketball team.
They got Trae Young. No? They got Trae Young's cool.
Footy is massive, bro. It's massive. I'm not going to hear otherwise.
Atlanta's the true soccer capital of the United States. Don't let anyone from Kansas City
City. The St. Louis guy is speaking up and saying that's the true soccer capital of the U.S. I like it. I like that take, Riley. I feel like a lot of your, a lot of the home crowd there in St. Louis might disagree with you, but let's leave it here. I think go with the home, like Ednan said. I agree with Kevin too. I think this is just a safe pick for us, right? All the way around.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah,
cool. All right. The Crew, defending champions, taking on Portland Timbers. The Crew, man, kind of a really interesting run, right, because of what they're doing in Triple C right now. But they're coming off the draw to RSL on the road. Portland drew in a pretty epic match against LAFC, 2-2 in the last game. Portland is missing Crepeau and a few others. That is of note. Okay, I will note that they are missing their keeper. Columbus is top 5 at home this season. Despite being listed in the last 5, Portland are still scoring like crazy. They are literally top 5 right now in goals per game. They just can't keep anybody at the back of the net. That's the only thing for them right now. So with that context, do we back the defending champions in Ohio?
I'm definitely taking Columbus in this one. I think after Wilfred Nancy put out such a rotated squad against RSL to go out and get a draw away from home, I'm confident that, Cucho's coming back. He's going to be back for this game. I'm pretty confident in Columbus in this one.
It's hard not to back them, man. It really is. But they got some weird draws lately that I don't know how really to feel about it yet. But
it's easy to back the champions, right? Because they've been doing well, whatnot. But nobody's really talking about, are they fatigued? Are they tired? They're just coming off of a huge win against Tigres. Credit to them, right? But Portland is also playing pretty good football, mate. I mean, I don't know. I might see an upset here, or at least Portland getting a draw. Because, like you said, they have some really weird draws. I really see Portland being one of those teams that gets one more of those really weird draws.
Yeah, just keeps up with them like 2-2, something like that, right? Cabecita maybe gets
something crazy like that.
Yeah,
I'll be honest, man. You're talking about if it was any other team they're matched up against the Triple C, if it wasn't Monterrey, I would think that I would be more confident giving them the win, but I think it's going to be a draw. I feel like a draw is coming because you're going against Monterrey. That is not a joke of a team right now, especially the way they're looking right now in Liga MX.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question. We've seen MLS teams either go for CCC or go for the league. Maybe sometimes they could do both. Depth is always what gets a team from MLS versus the teams of Liga MX. Do y'all think that Columbus is going to be one of those teams that's going to defy that curse, that they're going to go both hard in the league and go hard in CCC, or can they only do one?
No, I think personally, I think they can do both. I don't know if they will, but I think Nancy's mentality as a manager is I don't prioritize. Like I'm going for everything, every trophy imaginable. So I just feel like he has something to prove, and maybe it's on his path to becoming a manager in Europe. Who knows? But I feel like he's not going to prioritize. Like he looks at solely the match ahead of them and get everything out of the match they possibly can get.
Plus, aren't they in the semis right now?
Yeah, they made it to the semis. Yeah.
3 games, they're champions,
Yeah, I know.
And then they could take some L's, for the next few weeks and focus one way.
Then,
I know it's true. They could. It's just that I feel like I predicted Columbus to maybe drop last week, not tie, but like legitimately lose because of 120 plus minutes, penalty kicks, coming back to the States, like all of it.
Too much,
and they still pulled out a draw. So
I mean, I just want to point out last week in the RSL game, Columbus featured an academy player on their starting lineup, so they are rotating the squad. True. It's a semifinal, man. You're one step away from the final.
So Hector, they're going to lose then? They're going to lose?
I said draw. Okay. I think Wilfred Nancy has the right tactics every single day. I'm a believer in him. So I think
Cabecita masterclass, or is this being a draw?
I'm saying either Cabecita masterclass. Evander is also putting up some good numbers, right? He's getting into team of the match week or whatnot. So I see a draw. I don't think Columbus will lose. They're a great team. Wilfred Nancy, credit to him, but dropping points for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Riley, look, if you get this one right, bro, you'll be the only one on that train, and I think that bodes well for your ball knowledge, man. I mean, if Columbus do win, I think it won't surprise too many people because of who they are. But it's like at some point, right? Like the games have to catch up to them. Like it has to. And with a team as free flowing offensively as Portland, it could be really interesting. So I'll back draw. I'm not going to fight for either one of those teams. I'm cool with that. All right, let's move on then. Miami, Nashville. Okay, Vincho, talk to me, bro. You guys had Miami right at Arrowhead. A 3-2 result, right? It is what it is. Were you impressed with Miami at all with how many injuries they have and how disjointed they look between the veterans and the youth players? Like, are they going to be able to, even at home, right, take down this Nashville team who in their own rights, not in the best of form, they're still losing games? I mean, how do you feel about this one, considering you just watched them play?
I mean, they play some of the most ugly freaking ball I've ever seen in my life, but it doesn't matter because they just got dudes that can hit it. But, I would have said I was feeling Nashville when I saw this lineup weeks ago, but they just do not look good. Then I'm like, I'm going to look insane to be like, yeah, bro, Nashville, and they don't have a great record with them, anyways. I think they lost obviously that final, then they drew with them. I think.
Nashville haven't beaten Miami in the last 5 meetings.
That's crazy. And for it to start now would be insane away from home with the run that they're having. So I think the safest bet is Miami's winning this. Not pretty, but I think they win it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, bro. Even all the players that they're missing. Yeah, Nashville right now, they're ranked 23rd in the league in goals scored per match. They haven't kept a clean sheet in the last 8. So against a team, even again, they're missing some pieces. One of those more notable ones is Campana. He's not playing, but they still have all of the Barca boys, right? And then the youth players that are surrounding them. So I don't know. I kind of agree. I think Nashville hasn't shown me anything. I feel confident. Anybody else backing up maybe a draw, or we just taking Miami in this one?
No way. This is Miami. This is probably the lock of the week. If you're out there looking for a safe bet to add to your 12-leg parlay, this is the lock.
This is the lock. I like that. I like that. How bad could this one get, do you think? Like 3-1, 3-0, something along those lines? I don't want to discredit Nashville entirely, but I feel like they haven't shown anything recently. They lost to who they lose to? Philly 2-1 at home. I mean,
yeah,
at home, you know, like I don't know.
Yeah, Philly hasn't lost a game this season, so you know that's what does it mean to lose to them, right? I would like to say that Nashville is historically, I guess, a good defensive side, but you know, look at the place that they're in right now. They're down bad. Obviously,
they ate like
No
5
Jack
against
Moore.
LA. Like
Nobody.
LA was not looking good, and then they put up 5 goals on them or something
That was
crazy
crazy.
like that.
That was their coming out party. It was insane.
Like,
They literally
It's
gave
very
LAFC
safe to
confidence
say
for the
this
rest
is
of the
not
season.
the same Nashville
Yeah,
Right.
by
it's
any
not.
means.
It feels weird, bro. I mean, Henny Mukhtar's probably gone for this season, if we're being honest. Like, if I was him, I would be, just to try to make good of some years that you have left.
yeah.
What about his
Should've been
Nashville
on last
wife?
year.
Hey man,
He's not leaving Nashville.
That icon contract.
On the icon contract, yeah, they might lock him down on that one. We'll see what happens.
Fuck.
Yeah, if you guys haven't heard about that in the audience, I mean, it's a wild time to be an MLS fan with new rules potentially popping up every week at this point. But who knows? An icon rule might come into play, and Vela might go back to LAFC. I don't know. We'll see. Definitely not a legend, though. Definitely not a legend. We confirmed that now. All right. Well, look, I think Miami. Yeah, it's probably a lock for this one. Let's just move on. This one's straight and simple. All right. Montreal taking on Orlando. Montreal defeated Cincinnati at home 2-1. Orlando coming off of the win, finally. DC 3-2 on the road. That one was really, really interesting. It went exactly the opposite, actually, of how I thought it would go. Montreal's undefeated in the last 5 home games. That's of note, right? But they haven't kept the clean sheet in forever. It's been like 6 or 7 games. Meanwhile, Orlando is just mediocre as hell right now. Literally in the bottom 10 for both goals scored and goals conceded. So you think about that, Montreal at home, Orlando still trying to find themselves. I think it's hard to travel from Florida all the way up to Canada to try and pull a result. I'm kind of leaning towards Montreal for the same reason that Ednon used for the first matchup, right? Back in Atlanta, backing the home team in general. I kind of like Montreal in this one, but again, it's hard to tell because these two teams are just in weird form right now. How are you guys feeling?
I'm going out to say a draw just because it does feel like you're right that they're so weird. Like Montreal could, first of all, no one expected Orlando to be at this position and Montreal in their position. No one had that, in their minds. But now it's like every game, like, oh, Montreal, they're gonna kill it, and then they lose or they pull up horrific like last final 10 minutes of the game and they concede goals. I feel like for me, it's a safe a draw. Okay, even though they're playing in Montreal. I don't know if Montreal is really a fortress, guys. I don't know. Never really been up there, but that's just my feeling.
I don't know, man. French Canadians are real,
don't
bro.
Sleep on Saputo Stadium, okay?
It might be in its own right. I don't know how it compares to like that. What is that Canadian Cup they play up there?
Right. Yeah.
That has been.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe in that competition, like they're a fortress, right? But MLS, I haven't really seen it yet. I don't know. I kind of agree. I think a draw is probably a safe bet, like a 1-1 or something. And Orlando could be a great road point for them considering how their season's gone so far. Man, Hector is.
Hey man, this is
L's
the
on this one every week.
Start of the championship DVD, baby.
Yeah, bro. It's an interesting time for anybody who picked Orlando City to be an MLS Cup. But yeah, I don't know. Anybody has anything new or anything different? Otherwise, I'm just going to back a draw for this one and move on to the next matchup.
Draw's all right. I'm not going to underestimate Orlando, though. Austin did take an L to them, but it was in their house. So I'm curious to see how they do at home in the famous Saputo Stadium.
Yeah, I we'll see. I think that even that loss for Austin was just weird. Like Orlando didn't look super dominant. One was it was a set piece, right? A set piece goal, and the other one I can't remember.
Nicolodeiro.
Yeah, yeah, it was a good result, but they didn't build off of that, right? I mean, they kind of did with the DC result now, but it's just so back and forth. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure Orlando fans will back them through and through, but I feel like it could be a draw. Okay, let's move on. We're sticking in the Eastern Conference. NYCFC hosting DC United. I think they're hosting them in the Bronx, right? At their tried and true baseball stadium.
Nope, it's in Queens.
Oh, it's in Queens. Okay, never mind. The other baseball stadium. So we'll see either way. I feel like it's an advantage to New York City FC. But with that said, NYC beat the Revs, who hasn't beat the Revs, 2-0 at home. DC losing to Orlando like we just talked about. Crazy about these two teams, though. They have not drawn any of their last 8 matchups. Any of them. It's produced a winner every single time. So I feel like we have to pick a winner. DC's unbeaten in the last 4 road matchups. So there's something to that here, right? But they did just lose at home. So Shit, man, this is the most MLS thing of all time. I feel like it goes so back and forth week over week. But who backs the baseball stadium boys? Who's got them?
I'm backing them. I got New York City FC. I feel like maybe they're turning a page this season. I don't know if that's bold to say. They're at home. I back MLS teams when they're at home. And DC, yeah, you could say that they're doing things better this year, but I just have no confidence in them whatsoever in this game coming up at least. So that's my pick.
And I think it's gonna be shithousery, if we're being honest. Like I think it's gonna be like NYCFC gets like a bullshit goal, like maybe on a set piece or something, and then they ride it out with again that baseball stadium and its crowd being a factor, I guess, for home field advantage. So I don't know, man. I'll be honest, I'm not excited about this game. Like I'm just not. Like it doesn't get me going.
I'm not excited from the visual aspect of it. I hate watching these baseball stadium games. They are just one of God's abhorrent creations. Like I just cannot stand to look at these games. They're so bad.
Just wait on the stadium, bro. Wait on 2025.
The stadium does look good.
Yeah.
DC fans, I don't want to sound rude or anything, but I see New York City FC winning this game. I see a Benteke goal as well. I don't know if that helps, but there you go.
No, I mean, bro, he's literally tied. There's like 3 or 4 goal scorers that are tied at the top of the Golden Boot race right now with 6. It's like
early in the season.
Yeah,
it is.
It's early.
He's scoring at a faster rate than he's ever scored in MLS before. So I still think there's something there, and I think that their tactics are a little bit different this season, right? Especially for those who've already played DC. I think Riley knows. They just feel like a different team a little bit. They're creating a ton of chances, so I think they'll get one. But I think again, I feel like the shithousery of playing in a baseball stadium will be too difficult to really overcome, in my opinion, anyway. But all right, so NYCFC winning, DC losing. Everybody good?
Yeah,
go with that.
I mean, New York.
Hell yeah. All right, New York, we're backing you. Don't fucking let us down. All right, moving on. Toronto FC taking on the Revs. Toronto losing to Charlotte 3-2 on the road. The Revs losing to NYCFC 2-0. That's kind of crazy on the road. Toronto still missing a ton of players due to injury, and Insigne being one of those guys, along with a sheet of others. But with that said, Toronto under Herdman are a clean sheet machine. They are the best team in MLS when it comes to keeping opponents out of the back of the net. With that said, they've lost the last 3 straight without their players. So a negative bounce, 3 in a row. They haven't been like they've all been like 1-0s or something. So like they're still doing a great job of like limiting opponents scoring wise, but it's still tough for them without their star players. So with that said, I mean, this is an opponent that if you're gonna be without your star players, you probably want to be playing the Revs, right? You probably want to play against this team at home. They don't pose much of a threat compared to who they've played against in MLS already. I kind of like Toronto in this one. I think they snapped the duck, right? Like in my opinion, this should be their bounce back game. No?
Yeah, definitely.
It could go either way. I want to say that this could be one of those scrappy games. This is probably battle of mid, honestly.
Yeah, battle of mid.
Mid
might even be a strong word if we're being honest, but
I think it's too hard to back it. It's too hard to back New England this season, I think, at all, especially flying to Toronto. I just really can't see New England putting anything together in this one.
I was gonna say, who do they beat, bro? They beat Charlotte, but that's it. That's their only win. I was like, they don't win. I was like, who the hell did they beat? But yeah, they that was the one that Porter guaranteed a dub in the press conference prior to the game actually started.
Awesome.
So maybe he does it again. Kill a Porter masterclass. I don't know. Maybe he has to make that prediction every week. I'm not sure, but.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. This one's like gonna be painful. I was talking about how I'm not intrigued by the Montreal Orlando game at all. This one's worse. This is battle of mid, use fest of the week, call it whatever you want. Like no highlights from this game. I don't think.
Like down to their kits are not even fun to look at. They're just ugly all the way.
Hey, but the T crate talks. That'll
the
T
crate. Yeah,
but
I can't
it's
wait.
Toronto, so no T crate.
Oh, you're right. It's in Toronto. Never mind. Okay, never mind. Don't watch this game. It's over.
Yeah.
Nothing to get excited about then. 1-0 Toronto is probably what I think.
Yes, probably.
Yeah, I think we'll just keep it there. That's probably the safe bet. Without their star players, it's going to be difficult. Man, look at this. Perfectly even across the board so far. This is interesting. All right, we'll see how it goes. All right, moving on. Fire taking on Real Salt Lake. Chicago Fire coming off of the draw to the Red Bulls on the road, which was interesting because the Red Bulls got that red card like 40 minutes in, and they wrote it out against the Fire, which was interesting. RSL drawing to the Crew at home 0-0, which we talked about already. Chicago are decent at scoring, right? They're getting goals. They're just leaking them too, which is kind of crazy, I think, for what they've spent on this team. Meanwhile, RSL, Arango right now is one of those guys that just seems to be kind of hitting his stride a little bit, finding his form.
Emphasis on the hitting.
Yeah, emphasis on the hitting. That's right.
Don't talk about that. That's going to hurt my feelings.
Yeah, granted, I think that hat trick against St. Louis was probably his coming out party and building on that in terms of his form. But with that said, really interesting, Salt Lake having to go up to Chicago to play this game. I don't know if Chicago's can even say they have home field advantage unless it's windy that day. Like, I don't know, man. It's a weird stadium to play in because they're playing at Soldier Field, no?
Mm-hmm.
I believe so, right?
Yeah.
So
They are.
I just don't know if that's even going to be a factor. And then you got to bank on form. And if you're banking on form, I mean, the Fire right now are one of those sporadic teams. Last 5 games are win, draw, loss, win, draw. Fucking anybody's guess. So do you back RSL and what they're building right now, or do you think the Fire take it at home?
Back in RSL,
I think it
100%.
depends. I think it depends on if Big Shaq is playing or not. If Shaqiri is playing for Chicago Fire, I'm gonna back RSL. Shaqiri is
facts. I thought you were gonna say the other way around. I thought you were gonna say if he was playing that they were gonna win.
No. I've seen enough of Shaqiri in MLS to know that if he is on the field, Chicago Fire are probably not doing very much.
Yeah.
Someone's been listening to John.
Someone had to listen to John. W take by Riley, bro. W take.
Yeah.
That is one of the biggest wastes of money, in my opinion, in the league at this moment. The guy just he was the second highest paid DP prior to Messi coming in. So that's wild, right? That's insane. So,
and I've been impressed with RSL's defensive mids as well. Like, I just don't know what Shaq is going to get done if he starts in this game, and it seems like he's been like 50-50 starting for Chicago, not starting for Chicago. I don't really know what determines if he's going to be on the field or not. So that's the big watch for me.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the last couple of games, I think he came off the bench. So maybe, Klopas is like starting to like see the light and be like, hey, Guti needs to be running this offense, not Shaqiri. So, and if he is, right, I actually like Guti. I think Gutierrez is someone that they can rely upon long-term moving forward. I like the kid a lot. So I don't know. I mean, this feels like draw to me just because of the fact that it's in a road match for RSL. Chicho could find some form in this one. I think a lot depends on like how Barajas and Luna are really going to be involved in the mix in this one. I like Fidel Barajas a lot, by the way. I think he's a very talented kid. I don't know, man. Hector, how'd you feel about this one? You're back in RSL?
Yeah, I'm back in RSL.
Who echoes that? Who concurs with Hector on that one?
I'll take RSL. That's fine by me.
I'll take that.
I take RSL. And I don't know why RSL is coming up. They're actually coming up as an underdog for this game. I mean, I'm sure that home field advantage helps Chicago. I get it, but RSL has one of the best strikers that the MLS has seen in the recent maybe 3 to 4 years, Chicho. I mean, this guy is coming off of a hat trick recently. He's probably feeling in some good form right now. He sees this Chicago side as probably just another victim of his, and that's exactly what's going to happen. I see him dropping a brace. And John, I'm sorry, but somebody needs to tell you this. It is what it is. He's not here.
Yes, no, bro, I'll take that. I'll take that all day.
Intervention.
Somebody needs to tell him. Somebody needs to tell him.
Hey, bro, he'll back his boys through and through. I respect it. I respect the blind optimism to an extent. But look, I agree. I think Chicho's if he even gets a couple of good sniffs in the first half of goal, I think he's gonna have a day. I also think if Luna and Barajas start feeding him quite a bit throughout this game, I don't know how Chicago copes with it, just considering how much they've conceded already. And RSL have not lost in the last 4. So, and they play good teams in that stretch. Columbus, Minnesota. I'll consider St. Louis part of that good bunch as well, just because of what they've done recently. So, yeah, I mean, like it's just one of those things where Chicago's not that scary of a team for them. At least it shouldn't be, even on the road.
I agree 100%.
All right. I like it. Consensus all the way through then. We are backing. This is probably our first big upset, I think, so far. Is backing RSL to kind of take this one home. We'll see how it goes. All right, man. We got the first big preview, I think, on this show so far. We got some what do we call this, by the way? Because we already have a Texas derby. I don't know what to call Houston hosting Austin.
Copa Tejas, apparently.
Just a Copa Tejas matchup, but like is there anything else that we can maybe like throw out there for the fans?
We can call it the Highway 290 showdown.
Ooh, Highway 290.
I like that. I don't know.
I mean, finally 290 is fixed. So I mean, I'm fine with that. It took my whole existence to fix that freeway, but here we are.
Texas highway problems, bro. I feel you on that. Yeah. Look, I we'll call it whatever we want, but this is going to be a massive matchup, and I think that for where these two teams are right now, we can all say across Texas all the way around, Houston kind of has the upper hand at the moment, but they are still missing key pieces that I think Austin can take advantage of here. Houston coming off of that impressive win against Minnesota 2-1 on the road. Austin coming off of the loss to St. Louis 1-0 on the road to break the back-to-back win streak that they had going. These teams have not drawn in any of the last 8 games against one another. There's always been a winner. And so I think that's something of note here, right? And what's crazy about Austin, I think what's actually been very, very impressive about Austin FC so far this season, I thought the stat was really cool. While they're ranked kind of, in the middle of the table across all of MLS in goals scored per match, they're still finding ways to stay in games. They haven't scored the last 3 away matches. So for this game, that might be of note, but I think it's still so close, Austin and Houston, that, and the fans will travel for this. I don't know if away form can be looked into too heavily when you're talking about in-state rivalries. But with that said, I mean, Austin is still top 12 in MLS when it comes to putting goals in and keeping themselves in games. So with all the form Houston has right now, I think this will be a game to tune into. And so let's start with the home team. We'll start with Hector first. Hector, I got to imagine you, of course, right, at Shell Energy, you're backing your boys. How do you feel this one realistically could go? Give me a scoreline prediction too.
I mean, I think it's going to be a battle. I think if there's one thing that Austin FC has been able to do this year, despite the flaws that are not mentioned before the season even started, which was kind of like their personnel getting a roster set for them, but they're still been able to battle. Each match has been a battle, in my opinion. It's gone down the wire, and I think that's very commendable of what Austin FC's mentality is. So I mean, no, nothing against that. But for the Dynamo, I mean, despite the losses that they have, no Nelson Quiones, no Hector Herrera, this team has been very, I would say, solid. I think is the right word. They've been great defensively. I don't think anybody's going to say anything negative about Dynamo's defense. Obviously, the big question, once again, is always going to be who's that person that's going to score goals for the Dynamo, and that's always going to be asked. But somehow someone randomly ends up answering, whether it's Seba or a defender for Minnesota. So, I mean, like, they just find ways to score goals, and they know as long as the backside's going to keep it locked in for as much time as they need to find a goal. But big news for this match, it's 420. Hector Herrera will be back. He is officially back in training with the team. He will be playing in this match. I don't know if he's going to be a starter or if he's going to come off the bench, but we will see Hector Herrera at some point in this match, which I'm assuming that we're probably going to see more fans at Shell Energy because of the fact that Ache is now back. Yeah. But I think there's a lot of excitement for the team knowing that they've done well so far, and to get their captain back into the mix is going to be a huge one. Also, April 19th is Hector Herrera's birthday, so what a
he might be showing up a little and it's 420, maybe a little faded. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe not.
When the man's locked in, the man's locked in. Okay? Now afterwards, I can't promise anything, but
yeah, maybe that'll be the motivation, right? And something like I think even despite Houston's scoring struggles, the one little piece of context I'll add to that is that if there was ever a matchup that would favor that is the fact that Austin hasn't kept a clean sheet in 6 games now. So there's something there, right? I agree that the Houston offensive struggles have been there for everybody to see, but you're still winning games. Hernan, talk to me, bro. How do you combat some of those points that Hector brought up with Houston? Do you see it going differently? And give me a scoreline prediction.
I think they're fair points. Houston right now they're in 3rd place, right? Austin currently finds himself in 11th. The thing about the Western Conference right now, it is very early, so you can't really put too much stock into where teams are at right now. There's only 4 points that separate Houston and Austin, but it's about 8 or 7 spots, right? So if you win, you make a jump. If you lose, you stay down. If you draw, maybe there's not much change, right? But where I am more concerned with Austin FC, I mean, of course, the offensive output is something that a lot of people have been talking about. Glenn Davis even got in on the banter just a bit. He said, not with 0 shots, you're not going to bounce back in Houston. So I thought that was kind of funny. But one thing that I'm really concerned about is Julio Cascante will not be playing that game. He picked up a yellow card last match, which is his 5th card. He will be suspended off of yellow card accumulation. And although some Austin FC fans might argue with this and they'll say, hey, well, Julio's not that good or he's not our best CB, I'd like to say that he plays the system the best out of Matt Hedges, Brendan Heinzak, and Levison, who's currently injured. He might be back on the bench for this game, but he's the center back that Josh Wolf trusts the most. He's the one that's more experienced with the term wolf ball and building out the back, trying to find those alleyways to build up the ball, to get the attack going with Seba, Dani Pereira, etc. Right? So the fact that our away output has been poor, you mentioned it, Jose. We are in Texas. We're only about 2-3 hours away from Houston, so it's not going to be an airplane ride. It's going to be a bus drive. The boys are going to feel like they're just right down the street, and we know what it is like to win in Houston. It's very hard stadium to get points in. The fact that it's Ache's birthday, all that sentiment going in with him being back. Houston Dynamo on their Instagram page, they pinned the CD cover versus Austin FC to their profile, which tells me that they're putting a lot of stock into this game. They want the stadium to be packed because they want to drown Austin FC fans out. They know the danger that Austin brings when they come to the stadium. So I would be very happy with a win. I see a draw.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? And by the way, I was telling we talked about this a little bit off air before everybody got in here, but Houston fans, if there was ever a reason to go to this game outside the fact that this could be a really interesting rivalry match altogether, the tickets that I saw on SeatGeek were $16 a pop. So find a way to get your asses out there.
By the way,
what's that?
Have you figured out the $16?
What do you mean?
What's Hector Herrera's number?
Is it 16? I have no idea. Yeah, I mean, either way.
Aren't you an L3 fan?
I mean, yeah, bro. But Acha to me is so beyond L3 at this point, bro. I'm just like, at the end of the day, like, you know, it is what it is. But again, that's cool. That's 16. But why would you lose out on that much revenue for a Texas derby, technically, right? Like, I don't know.
It's because you want the stadium to get full. You want the stadium to get full because there's going to be a lot of coverage on this game. You want the photos to look like this. The stadium is bumping. It's just a good marketing move. And kudos to Houston because I feel like they could do a little bit more to try to pack that stadium. I know there's been a lot of conversation how other teams like countries can fill up those stadiums, and Houston Dynamo struggles a little bit. But I like what Houston has been doing, you know, separating from the football, separating from the banter, whatever. When we're talking about marketing, I like what they've been doing in recent years. It feels like there's more of a push. They're trying to connect more with their fans or whatnot. And against Austin, they're really going to push for everybody to pack that stadium.
I think the playoff season for them last year was big for marketing. Like it was like you had to double down on all the traction they got. So it makes sense. By the way, we got a draw from Hernan. Hector, what did you just think Houston's gonna win?
I'm gonna say a 2-1 win for the Houston Dynamo.
Okay. All right, Kevin Show, how you feeling about this one?
Oh God, I'm not like a part of me is like, okay, this is gonna be the game that Austin freaking turns it around, baby. But I think Austin has a similar situation to Sporting, where I don't think it's all the players to be to complain about. I think there's some serious management issues in Austin, in my opinion. Not an Austin fan, but from what I've seen, and Houston, like we've been talking about, Houston looks so good, so strong, and they're at home, but the emotions of a rivalry could switch it up. It could bring in so much more attention, so much more pressure. And if Austin loses this game, like you guys had a couple games where you won, and then of course that last game bumped off. If Austin wins this game, I'm not going to say there's not going to be any more Wolf out crowd, but like I think people can breathe a little bit because it's a rival game. It's like same thing if Sporting didn't win a game this whole season and then we play St. Louis and we beat them, we're going to be like, hey, nothing, no problem here, baby. It's all cool. But realistically, I'm like, all right, if I'm going for that, I feel like it's going to be a tough game. So an easy pick would be a draw for me.
Yeah. Riley, how you see this one, bro?
Personally, I just have been so disappointed in Austin. Like after St. Louis went up this last week, I didn't feel fear one single time for the remainder of the game. Like, yeah, I think Austin maybe kept it close. They were definitely in our third pretty frequently, but they were never dangerous. If anything, they handed away quite a few opportunities to St. Louis multiple times. I have to back Houston in this one, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like, oh, no, go ahead. For sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, just one thing that I wanted to add is the Drusi factor, right? You could say they had a poor game against St. Louis. I think St. Louis did a good job kind of isolating the parts that make Austin FC's clock tick. I think they did a good job against Danny. They did a good job against Hader. They made the ball shift over to the left side where Hader Orion was not. He was on that right side. He's been Austin FC's maybe a more dangerous winger, maybe one of the most prolific players on the field for them, and they were non-existent versus St. Louis. That's why there was no fear. There was no bite. That's what the players came out and said post-match, right? And they took all the blame. They said, hey, this is not really on the coach. The players need to do their job, and we even talked about it, right? So I think, and this is what I genuinely believe that's going to happen in Houston, I think this team is not going to have two bad back-to-back games. They're close to home. They know that a lot of people are going to go out and see them play. I think Drusi does not have two bad games back-to-back. Drusi shows out. He carries his team to at least a draw. Hell, they could even be up the whole game and lose the goal to Houston maybe one of the last minutes like they did against St. Louis early on in the season, like they did against Philly early on in the season. The defense has been a problem. If they're up in the first half, they could probably see it out. If not, they're going to lose it out in one of the last minutes, and Houston's going to draw it like we've seen before. So I'm very optimistic going into Houston. Maybe that's a poor take, but Drusi is going to be carrying this team on his back.
Nah, bro, back your team, 1,000%. I respect that. Equally though, I think there's a tie here, and I have to break it. I think form goes out the window.
Somebody's got to tell John, right? Somebody's got to tell John, right?
Yeah. I think, form goes out the window in a derby. Like it just does. I don't know how big of a derby this could be feel for the fans. I'd be really curious to see on game day what this looks like on Saturday. I'm hoping Austin travels well. I'm hoping that this delivers everything to a neutral that we all hope it can. So I'll be a little selfish as an FC Dallas fan. I kind of hope both you guys draw. I'll be honest. Like it just bodes well for us as a team too. So who scores first is going to be, like Adnan said, very, very key in this one. I'm going to back a draw.
I think so.
Only reason being is I think if this was an out, like a true away game for Austin, it'd be an L, in my opinion. Just because, like, if they had to face a team that's third place in either conference, it's a different feel when you have to leave your state and actually go travel and figure it out. But because they don't have to, it becomes very interesting, I think, for Houston. If Ache plays a massive role, if he gets more than like 45 minutes, if he gets more than a half, I could eat my words on this. I think he'll be super impactful for Houston when he comes on.
He's also coming back from injury. I mean, how much of an impact can a guy coming off an injury even try to have on a team, right?
It just depends on how ready he is. Like, but if you remember
That's
how
true.
impactful he was for Houston before the injury, like, you just have to assume that, you know, it's going to be like when Dallas gets Ferreira back at some point. Like, he was just so impactful that I have to believe he's going to automatically make the team better.
And also whenever Austin got Drusy back, he was out at the beginning of the season. He comes back really against like Orlando. He gets some minutes, right? But, you know, he was starting to come into rhythm. But the kind of confidence that he gives the rest of his teammates is something that you can't really put into terms or whatever, or into words. It's just that feeling that the other guys get when they see that guy on the pitch. You feel like you can win that game. Ache is one of those guys. I will give him that.
Yeah,
I would also say another thing, though, on top of that is, with Ache back, and I'm assuming that he's going to be playing the role that he usually plays, that frees up Coco Carrasquilla. Coco Carrasquilla has essentially been doing what Ache's job has been this whole time. Now, when he's free to do what he does best.
That's why, though. Yeah. He hasn't been like as offensive because like he's had to hold back a little bit more and conduct. But I was hoping he would do more. I've been hoping he would do more, but we haven't seen it yet.
I mean, I think that's a good point.
Yeah. So look, I think collectively as a majority rules, we have a draw, but look, this game can go either way, and I'm here for it all day. I hope this game delivers fireworks on every level. I want to see Ache versus Driussi vibes all the way through. I think it's going to be massive. All right, let's move on to another rivalry. This one in the Midwest more so than Texas. We have Sporting Kansas City hosting St. Louis, a rematch, an epic rematch of that. I'm going to call it at this point infamous playoff tie. I think it was one for the record books, in my opinion. Riley may agree or not agree with me, but that's totally okay. The results don't lie. SKC coming off of that 3-2 loss at Arrowhead to Miami, which again, it's Miami, so it's kind of understandable. St. Louis coming off of their win, right? Breaking somewhat, I wouldn't call it a duck, but you guys had these draws in a row that now you got a dub. Maybe you build off of it a little bit. With this game, guys, and again, we'll focus on Riley and Cavicho here. With this game, this is one of several instances where you guys will be meeting this season. I feel like it's going to be, this game will be telling of how I think the rest of the season will go, whether that's good or bad for either side. Let's start with Riley here first, being the away side, and then we'll go back to Gavincho. But Riley, you thinking about this game, how fans are going to be traveling, the memories that you have of playing against Sporting Kansas City. I don't know, how much motivation is there to go in and not just get the upset, but absolutely throttle Kansas City fans?
I mean, there's too much motivation, I think. St. Louis has absolutely bought into this rivalry here in the Midwest. I think it's something that's got everybody in the city excited. It's something that a lot of people talk about, even outside of, our group here. I'm hopeful that we're going to travel well again, going back and watching highlights from last season. Maybe not the playoff highlights, but just the regular season, that first game in Kansas City. I mean, seeing that stadium, darn halfway, I won't say halfway, but a quarter of it filled up with red was just incredibly impressive. And I think this is my take here. In St. Louis, we've seen 4-1, 4-0, 4-1, and in Kansas City, we've seen 2-1 twice. I'm expecting this game to be fairly close. I think.
Is Leuven back?
It seems unclear. He's got some shit going on right now that I think maybe overreaches past soccer in general. So I don't really know what his deal is. Sam Adeniran also is looking like he's got some kind of personal issues going on. So neither of them, I'm not expecting either of them, truthfully. But what I saw from the midfield last week against Austin, I was impressed with. Tomáš Ostrak is one who I think we were all pretty harsh on in St. Louis last year. I don't think we ever found his best position. I don't think he was meant to play the 10. I think he was meant to play more of a deep playmaking role, and he's found that in Edu Leuven's absence. So I'm excited for his performance, and then of course I'm excited to see how Tottenham's going to match up against the likes of Shalhoub. I think that was a huge upgrade for St. Louis, and a big part of why we were decimated by Kansas City in the playoffs last year was that right back position. So I still felt like we could have probably performed better against Austin last week, and it's leading me to be a little bit fearful going into this matchup. However, there is just no chance in hell that I'm ever going to back anything other than a St. Louis victory or a draw in this one. Too much on the line. We're playing for glory. The boys know it. We at home know it. So I feel like I have to take St. Louis. I feel like there's no other way out of this one.
Yeah, that's fair. And I wouldn't expect anything less from you, bro, to be honest. Kevin, bro, with this one, an interesting point. I think I definitely want to hear your counter to Riley's take, but interesting point. St. Louis have not won an away game in the last 6. So, and granted, I said it before with Houston and Austin. I think in local rivalries in any way, shape, or form goes out the window. But I think there's something of note there, right? The fact that SKC gets to host the first game of this ongoing rivalry throughout 2024. So, with that said, Kavicho, talk to me, bro. How you feel about your team's chances in this one?
This would be the perfect game for St. Louis to break that, and I'll tell you why. We don't have home advantage worth fucking shit, my friends. We have 8 so many fucking goals in our stadium this year. In 2 back-to-back games, okay? We've had, Arrowhead, whatever the fuck. It's same vibes. We were at home. We played a LA Galaxy where we looked like we were playing a World Cup final. We were destroying this team. 1-0 at one half. The second half, another goal. We're like, the game's over. In 8 minutes, they scored 3 goals. 8 minutes. All right. And I'll go back to that. Then Miami is kind of like, like we said, you're going to kind of expect to lose there. But at the same time, is this team can score and then immediately think, hey, we're done here. We scored 8 minutes in, and it looked like the players were like, we actually might beat Messi, baby. We got him. And then immediately it went the other way. This stadium has no vibes. And I will also say 99% of our issue, and it's so clear, and I don't even hate the guy, but there's just no excuse after 10 years. Our coach refuses to put in any help when you can see guys like Alan Pulido looks like brother has been in Cancun for 6 years. The dude does not care. He does not play. He does not show up ever. Daniel Shalhoub will have the same idea. He will run down the sideline and then look for anyone to whip the ball in. And it doesn't always work, Daniel. Like, we got to have to switch it up a little bit. Like, geez, it worked with St. Louis in the playoffs because they had basically like a hole in that exact position. I don't expect them to have a hole now. And of course, like with the rivalry, we're talking about, everything's out the window. So I'm not even going to talk tactics, but it's mostly when our team, even if we're up, let's say we score first, it is so far from over. We were up 3-0 on a team, 3-0 in the second half, and they came back. It's unreal how painful it is to watch this team. So I think if this could be in St. Louis and in Kansas City at your mom's house, it doesn't matter where it's at. There is no home field advantage here. So that being said, I think because it's a rivalry, because there's hype and there's going to be a lot of emotion, and of course, what happened in the playoffs, St. Louis is going to come to play. Sporting fans are going to be like, please hold on to a lead. There's already pressure on Peter because, I mean, at this point, I've seen people who write for the Star, completely independent from the club, are now openly just going, what is going on with this guy? Why do we have to wait till the 88th minute to sub in a player, for someone that looks like they are literally on their knees? So I'm not saying the Sporting win. I would be insane. I will say it's going to be a draw that I'm going to pray to God we can hold a draw. If St. Louis scores first, I think we're in some trouble because I just think there's a mental gap for our players where as soon as something doesn't, or even if it's going our way, we just relax so quickly. And if St. Louis scores a goal, imagine they score 2, chalk it. I'm done. We're out. I think I just got lucky like an hour ago. Boca just won a game that basically qualifies them for the playoffs in Argentina, and Boca and River play each other on Saturday. So I might be like, I'm going to the real Classico, boys. Good luck, Sporting. I'll pray for you, baby.
Kevin, I'm telling you, this is the real deal, man. This is the Missouri versus Kansas Classico, bro. I'm telling you, the hype is everything that it's been made out to be. It could sniff River Boca, bro. I don't know.
Oh man, sniff River Boca. I like those vibes. I like that.
I would just love to see just a fan throw like a smoke bomb into the team bus.
Yeah, I mean, why not? At this point, with the vibes that Sporting has had in this. It sucks because like a lot of the blue blood teams, or most of the blue blood teams have fallen behind over the years. Coming to, if you want to look at them compared to the expansion clubs, everyone kind of learned off of the mistakes of the others, and it looks like Sporting for like years just thought, we're fine. We're going to keep being this small market team. We don't need to have this crazy environment, and I don't think they ever had. It's kind of like the go-to for Sporting is like, it's blue hell. It's like, but unironically, it's like, yeah, brother, it is freaking hell out here, dude. Like sometimes you can get pretty sleepy at a Sporting game. I'm gonna be real.
Dude, Kevin, I cannot even believe that I'm about to go where I'm about to go. But like, I am surprised with how lackluster you feel about Children's Mercy Park, man. I feel like every time I went there, you guys were everybody was on their feet.
But you only went
crazy.
there for St. Louis.
It's true. Those are the only games I've been there for.
I think that's because we used to have a rival with RSL. Like we hate them. I actually hate them more than St. Louis. I just cannot stand that team and the fans. That like when I went to those games, it felt like, ooh, this feels real. Every other game, I was watching my younger brother play high school ball. I'm sitting there in the bleachers, sitting back. Yeah, baby. We have good food. I don't know about the food at St. Louis.
Midwest does have great food.
Midwest, you can't really go wrong. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I think my frustration as a Sporting fan has been like, it's so easy to blame a coach, but we legitimately have a reason because he is the coach. He's the head of every operation at Sporting. So if you want to blame somebody, there's not even anyone else to blame. Like you could see players like when we lost to St. Louis, I think it was the 4-1 game, and they were just so upset. The players were just so mad that they couldn't even talk to the reporters. They were just like, I don't know what to tell you. There's nothing to say. And that feels like a player that is trying to hold back a little bit. That sounds like a player that's like, maybe doesn't like, there was no player to be mad at. I wasn't like mad at Allen because he can't shoot for shit. It was just like the whole management of that team was so poor throughout most of that season. But yeah, it was shocking that we beat St. Louis in the playoffs. I think there was so many factors on why that happened. But going into this, we played them 3 times again. Yay, we play them at home. Did we, other than the playoff, I don't think we beat you guys at home. I don't remember. No. So I'm saying that does not matter here. I really think a draw is only because of the vibes. That's it.
And I will say this: you guys are separated by a point on the table, a single point. At the end of the day, and I don't think even St. Louis fans would be totally upset if they go away to a major rival and pull out a point. Like
that should be like a mini W always. And St. Louis kind of feels like they started this season almost like Sporting. Like they get in the right places and they just cannot finish. Like they're just like, dude, we've had possession, we can score. Like, why aren't we scoring? That's how Sporting was for so long. But
both of you guys have a ton of draws. You have a ton of draws.
That's true. We have a lot of draws. So it's like there is some fight there. I just don't really see it going any other way. I would be shocked if St. Louis like murders us. I would be shocked. And if Sporting does the same thing, like it would be crazy. I just feel like it can't be anything other than a draw. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Texas boys, Hector, Ednon, we feel like this goes the same way. I feel like a draw for these 2 derby matches is probably fair, but I still think they're going to be high intensity, high octane. I mean, you guys think that the Midwest derby goes the same way?
First of all, I think Kevin should answer that. It looks like Peter Vermees is calling him.
Oh, hey, he's listening. He's
listening. He's listening. Man, this is a tough one, but honestly, I'm gonna have to ride with St. Louis City just because of what I saw recently. I think that they're a team that knows what they want to do on the field. Do they have the talent to back it up right now? They are getting some guys back there, some guys still out. But I think if you let Klaus get into space, that dude's gonna do damage. So I got St. Louis in this one. I'm sorry, Kevin.
Sorry.
Hector.
Just to be fair, I did pick the Dynamo to win the Texas the Copa Texas.
Okay, yeah, fair. I'm not saying. I said collectively. That's what we had. All right. Yes,
Who's we? I don't.
You're part of this group, damn it. All right. Anyway, how do you see? You see St. Louis too, or do you think a draw is appropriate, or Kansas City winning?
Oh man, dude, this matchup is tricky. I try not to doubt Kansas City, especially in Kansas City, just because I have Vietnam flashbacks of that place. But. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just like a weird year. I don't know why, but I got to bag St. Louis. I think this is a revenge game for them, if anything else.
It's got those vibes, and I know Riley's fucking itching for it. So it's definitely got those vibes. I think the fan base is going to be up for it. The team, even without some of its star talent, like Leuven, for example, will be up for it no matter what. I think that playoff result has to live rent free in those minds. It has to. and rightfully so, right? So let's leave it there. We've gone to this one pretty well. If we're wrong about this one and Kansas City does win, I believe Cavincio probably owes Peter Verbees an apology. But outside of that,
I would be shocked.
I would actually make an actual apology to freaking Peter.
I'm just saying this though.
Yeah.
If I'm St. Louis right now, I mean, I'm planting that scoreline like fucking everywhere in that training facility.
Oh, we will be there no matter what. Yeah.
Just like
No matter
everywhere.
what.
Just to remind everybody, hey, this is what happened. Let's not have this fucking happen ever again.
Absolutely. Rightfully so too. All right, let's move on. This one is probably gonna be really quick. Colorado versus Dallas, probably one of the most lukewarm matchups of the year. As you know, the Dallas fan, I'll tell you that right now. It just is. But it's weird. Like, we have a decent record against Colorado historically. I mean, granted, recent history, most teams do, but like at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, we actually have like a decent record. But this is just until our starters are fully back. I think we'll have Ayala Mendy now finally, which is awesome, but we still don't have someone up top to connect with Musa really well. But Ayala needs to come back, bro. Like, I don't know what this man did in the first game of the season, but holy shit, he's been injured forever, and I'm tired of waiting, bro. I'll be honest, I'm tired of waiting. And Velasco and everybody else, it's like, damn, I'm just tired of dealing with injured players. But for that reason, and because Colorado's like just a mixed bag, bro. They're like they're draw, loss, win, draw, win. Like they're so sporadic as far as their results go. It's like if Mihalovic shows up, they're great, they're fluid, and if he doesn't, they're kind of leaky in the back. So I don't know really what to expect. I'm gonna say a draw personally. This could be like a really lukewarm 1-1. Like I don't know if this is gonna be anything sexy. I'll be honest. As a Dallas fan, I hope I'm wrong and we win. But like if we were to draw to Colorado, it would be fitting for how this season has gone so far. I'll just put it that way. I'm very frustrated, but at the end of the day, I can only expect so much with backup talent on the field. So, anybody disagree with that, or can we move on?
I might actually
I don't
back
know.
Colorado in this one.
Maybe Colorado.
I might back Colorado too.
That's fair.
I might back Colorado too.
Yeah, I mean, look, I expect nothing less from the Texas boys, but Riley, you're gonna back Colorado.
like even though beating up on poor old San Jose, like, it doesn't really say too much. I still think 3-0 away from home is impressive, and I think coming back to Colorado, I think the squad will be in good shape. And Dallas, they just don't really do too much, do they?
Yeah, the backups, man. I mean, we've kept back-to-back clean sheets, which is fine, like cool, but we just can't score. Like, without our playmakers in this team, no goals fucking happen, and it's like, I just don't know what else to do at this point. We tried different formations. We tried just be a crossing simulator. Like, it doesn't even fucking matter. Like, at the end of the day, like, we can't score without our playmakers in there. I'll have to accept that at some point. So,
man, just one last thing. I think this Colorado team this season, at least as time goes on, you got to give them a little bit more respect because they are doing things a lot differently. They're trying to do things different. They brought in a bunch of players, right? And they've gotten some results this season where it's like, hey, Colorado's not supposed to be getting those kind of full-time whistle wins go their way, right? So Dallas is not doing too hot. I think a draw would be great for FC Dallas, and I think a draw, Colorado would look at that like, dang, we really dropped points here.
maybe. I think Colorado's still unproven. Not that they're bad. I just don't know. When I watch them play, they're just not fluid. It's like it's things happen in spurts, and then they just give up possession for a while, and they're okay with it. And then, the game against Seattle is probably the perfect summary of who Colorado is, in my opinion, so far. It's like they needed a red card to get back into that game, but even when they had the man advantage, it's just like they don't have the chemistry yet. Like they're still trying to find each other out there. So I'm not saying on the Rapids. I thought they were going to be a comeback team this season, and I'm still
yeah.
I mean, how long are we going to keep saying? Just wait till this team figures it out. Just wait till this team figures it out.
I want to give them benefit of the doubt, though. I just want to give them benefit of the doubt. It's a lot of players they added. And they're good on paper. It's like they just got to find each other. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels weird watching them play. It's just no chemistry. It's Georgi Mihalovic doing a lot of the carrying and him finding somebody on a cross or a through ball or something. So
yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, if Colorado wins, fair probably. It's where Dallas is this season. But if we draw, it'll be 3 draws in a row for Dallas, and I'm still in the exact same shitty mental spot that I'm in now. So it is what it is. We're gonna move on. All right, LAFC hosting the Red Bulls. LAFC also kind of just not LAFC of recent history, but at the end of the day, they drew to Portland 2-2 on the road. The Red Bulls had that 0-0 draw with the red card against Chicago. LAFC are still top 10 in scoring per match, but they're not the same team. They're not controlling games. They're letting the game come to them and picking and choosing their moments. So with a team that good on paper, right, with Bogusz, with Tillman, with Belonga, with all those guys, is it a safe bet at the bank in LA to, despite how good a form the Red Bulls on, they've only been outclassed one time this season. That was against the champs. That was against the Crew, right? The 3-0. Outside of that, the Red Bulls have looked pretty damn good, and they have Morgan, who's boasting that top. He's tied right now for top goal scorer in the league. So Red Bulls look different. They'll have Forsberg back for this one, I believe. So I think this could be a crazy game. This is a matchup that I think every MLS fan should pay attention to.
This is like the best. It feels like if Red Bulls wins this game, holy God,
game.
It would be definitely a statement game. Then everyone would be like, all right, hold on, maybe Red Bulls aren't as goofy as we thought they were.
People are still shitting on them, bro. Like it's crazy.
For sure. Yeah.
I don't know. Who backs the Red Bulls to pull off the upset? We'll just start with that one. I'll be honest. Hot take. I'll back them. I'll back the Red Bulls in this one.
I want it to happen just so we could have like an even crazier storyline, but I just don't feel like in LA with that environment, it just seems like unreal. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if we look at when LA's played at home, minus the Nashville game, take that shit away. I mean, they beat the Galaxy 2-1, right? That was an impressive win. It was, just pure, not even matching Galaxy. Galaxy controlled the game, had actually more chances, but the better chances came to LAFC, and they actually could have won probably 3-1 in my opinion. But it's just one of those games where if they don't have control, can you just bank on one-off counterattacks and let that be?
Just dive.
Yeah. I guess, man. I don't know, man. I feel like the Red Bulls are just a more cohesive team. Like they look like they put it together better on the field, but that doesn't matter if the final score line is 1-0 because of a counterattack that LAFC scored, right? Like,
right.
I don't know, man. I'll back the Red Bulls though. I'm gonna pick them to win. I might be the outlier here. I know Ednon loves LAFC. He's probably his second favorite team. Probably a second favorite team.
Yeah. I'm wearing the colors.
Yeah, you are wearing the colors. I mean, but realistically, you have backed LAFC more than a few times on this show, so you're backing LAFC for this one, then through and through.
I am backing LAFC in this one because, and the reason why I came to that conclusion is the fact that every time LAFC is having a slow start to the season, blah blah blah, they just need to play the Galaxy to kick it up, to kick it up a notch. They got the win versus them. The fans are going to be hyped up, right? There's going to be conversations about them maybe possibly going on a run after that game, and I think they are. I think even though Red Bulls has been doing things right, they have been a pretty good team. They are one of the teams to beat this year, and of course, if they beat LA, that is a big statement win for them because you're beating LA, who we know who they are, and you're beating them at the what's it called, the BMO now, or is it the bank, whatever it is.
Yeah, one of those.
And also me, I've been personally at that stadium. I played, not personally on the field, but I know what it is to be in that stadium when your team is playing versus LAFC. And those fans get freaking loud. They're a 12th man for sure. So I got LAFC. They're turning a page. They're coming back into form. They beat their main rival, Carson, Galaxy, whatever you want to call them. It'll be a good match. I'll say that.
I think so too. It'll definitely be good. This to me is like match of the week. It's like strong match of the week potential. Hector's got 2-2. Oh shit, got a draw. Riley, you also in the draw bucket, or you think LAFC got this?
I think a draw bucket. I do think Red Bull's form has been impressive, and with Forsberg back, I mean, the guy cooks. I mean, he came from a great spot, and I think he's going to pay dividends for Red Bull. But I mean, in LA, the 6969 supporter group, or what are they called?
The 3252.
3-2.
Yeah.
I was like, they're trolling with the 6969.
they're hard to play in front of, man. So I got to give them credit. So I mean, a draw here would make a lot of sense for me.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm not going to fight hard either way. All I'm saying though, boys, is like I can see Red Bulls. I feel like I've been backing them a little bit since the start of the season, and I feel like no one's really believed in them at all. When I watch them play, they just feel a little more fluid. But it is LA, and going from New York to LA is no fucking joke. 6-hour flight. They got to be ready for that. A lot of travel, and it just kind of bodes well for LAFC. So unless Scavicho thinks that there's going to be some massive upset here, we'll probably keep it as is. Draw?
Yeah, draw's safe. Safe.
Yeah, safe pick. All right. Final three matchups. First up, Seattle hosting Whitecaps. Battle for the Pac Northwest, at least in
Vancouver.
some fashion. Yeah, I think I have to add context to this one, bro. Seattle, no. I went to the game, when they came to Dallas this past weekend, and as bad as Dallas is, Seattle somehow they had a lot of their starters back. De La Vega's the only one left, and I thought, okay, dude, they're gonna come out, they're gonna show out against us, bro. It was the most boring game for both sides. Like it just was. It was a boring fucking game. I don't think we need to say anything more.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, I was really surprised Vancouver lost 3-1 to the Galaxy, but it's crazy that Vancouver's number 2 right now, and they're one of the highest scoring offenses in MLS, man. And Seattle might be fucked on this one.
Yeah,
like, it might be done.
It could be bad.
Yeah, anybody have Seattle, or we move on? Yeah, respectfully, Xiaoyan and
fight and win. There's no fight and win today.
No fight and win today. I think Xiaoyan would actually back us, to be honest. I think he'd take Vancouver too, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
He's
all right.
full soggy sorrows right now.
Little soggy sorrows right now. Charlotte hosting Minnesota United. Charlotte's in a weird fucking spot, man. They beat Toronto 3-2 at home, right? But they're coming off of the Revs loss right before that. Minnesota lost to Houston in kind of an interesting game, right? But at the same time, still one of the best teams in MLS, at least in the Western Conference. Still in that playoff spot, right? So Charlotte's crazy good at home. There's this crazy stat that Charlotte is unbeaten in the last 16 home games. They have not fucking lost at home. The bank is legitimately a fortress for them. But Minnesota United still finding a way to steal dubs whenever they can. And right now they're top 10 in scoring. So can Charlotte hold on at home again, or will that 16 home match streak come to an end?
No, Charlotte does not drop points against Minnesota, brother. I really like what Charlotte's been doing. Dean Smith has came in and really he really grabbed hold of the managerial position. He grabbed it by the neck and said, you know what, this is me. This is my job. This is what I'm going to do here. This is a team, Charlotte, that has been struggling with managers. For an expansion team, they've been through, this is what, their third manager, guys? That's almost unheard of in MLS. Unheard of in MLS. They get not just a random job to street. You get Dean Smith, bro. Yeah. Dean freaking Smith. And I think it's going to take time. You can't turn an MLS roster into an EPL side. Doesn't matter if you're Sir Alex Ferguson. But little by little, you're starting to see that this Charlotte team is tough to beat. They have slipped up this season. Don't get me wrong. They're not Mr. Perfect this year. But Charlotte, to me, this year, they're one of the hard teams to beat, especially when you're at home. Last year, they were hard to beat at home. They were tough to beat at home. They had that stat where they dropped a bunch of points, even whenever they were winning, right? They had that crazy stat. Dean Smith has came in. He's kind of cleaned it up a little bit. And the team under him, it seems like they're playing for a serious manager. Manager. I know Kevin has his complaints for Peter. I have my complaints for Josh Wolf. But when
mine for Nico. Smith, don't leave me out. Don't leave me out. Mine for Nico too.
Nico also. Thank you, Nico. Whenever I think of this Charlotte side and I think of this Dean Smith coach, I really feel like the team is trying to play for this manager and they believe in his system. They believe in everything that he's trying to implement into the city, into the team. I see Charlotte all day. I see them make it into the playoffs, bro. And not barely.
What a shout.
Not even barely.
Bro, I'll back that hot take all day. I mean, shit, they're in the grand scheme of like supporter shield stuff, they're like in 14th. But right now, I mean, they're 7th. Both of these guys are sitting at 7th in their respective conferences, right? So I like that take by Edna. I think there is something to say about this crazy home streak, the confidence they play with under Dean Smith. Minnesota United are in a weird dip of form. They have 2 L's and a draw, but keep in mind they've been 3 good teams. Like Minnesota is coming off of a loss to Philly, a draw to Real Salt Lake, and a loss to Houston. So
also, take that with one last thing that I want to point out. Reynoso, where's he at? He's disappeared again.
Bro, he's sitting in Argentina sipping on, I don't know, mates, I guess. I have no idea.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm saying, man. Some of these players, they don't respect either the coach that they play for or the organization that they are employed by. And the guys over there at Charlotte, they just got a serious-ass coach, and Dean Smith is not taking no shit.
Yeah.
They're going to plow through Minnesota.
This Dean Smith hype is fucking awesome.
The Reynoso take is a very valid point. I think what's going on in that locker room now? Because now you have a distraction, right? Because everyone's going to be talking to people. Hey, what's going on? Maybe not everybody.
Did you hear about the last update though? By the way, he missed his green card meeting. It wasn't even like that he didn't get it. He missed the meeting altogether.
He said, "Ciao."
There's no respect.
Yeah.
There's no respect anymore.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Reynoso might just be checked out fully, but I agree with Hector and with Edna. I think that there's something there that Minnesota may start to kind of unravel what they're building. They had a great start to the season, but 3 negative results in a row. I think players start to question themselves a little bit and question leadership, right? So we'll see how it nets out. But if Charlotte make it 17 home games in a row, I will agree with Edna. We have to start looking at them as another playoff team. And that's the fact that they've been shit on this show by the likes of Xiaoyan, by John, even by AJ a little bit. So, hey, man, it might be a turn of the tide for Charlotte FC, at least according to Edna. We'll see how it all nets out. But anybody backing an upset, I guess you could say, in this result, we keep it as is.
As is. It looks good. Give me one Sangbin Korean Mbappe goal for Minnesota, though. Just give me one. Call it 3-1. I want one Korean Mbappe goal. Call it.
And that would be, I think, kind of a rare goal, too, just considering, again, how much of a fortress the bank has been for a lot of visiting teams. So, all right, well, we'll call it there. A 3-1 win for Charlotte. All right, final match up of the weekend. It is the Sunday night banger, the Cali Classico. I say banger because it's the Galaxy, but at the end of the day, they're hosting the Quakes. They just came off of a win pretty recently against this team. Just handled them, I would say, fairly easily. I mean, how long ago was that game? Maybe they didn't play. I thought they already played, but that might have been LAFC. I might be mistaken. Either way, with that said, Galaxy have coming off of that, they just beat number 2 Vancouver 3-1 on the road. San Jose losing 3-0 at home to the Rapids. Do I need to say anything more about how down bad the San Jose team really is?
They're the worst team. They're horrible.
Yeah. Who's worse right now, them or the Revs?
I feel like them, dude. I feel
throw Seattle in there while you're at it too.
Yeah, Seattle's close.
Did they lose to San Jose? They did lose to San Jose, right?
Did they?
Damn. Yeah, throw Seattle in there too. They lost to San Jose 3-2.
Yeah.
I think San Jose are truly bottom of the barrel. I mean, they just really, and honestly, in that Colorado game, like it wasn't even like they weren't having any chances. Like it kind of like that game. I went back and watched the highlights, and I was like, man, like they have St. Louis syndrome a little bit. They can't put away any of these great chances that they're getting into. But here we are. You lose 3-0 Colorado, and now you take on the best, possibly the best team in MLS right now.
Like, yeah. It's going to be a smacking, I think. I think at the end of the day, Galaxy are going to find a way to just have their way with San Jose. And at the end of the day, I mean, it's more of what we've seen already. So I don't think we need to go any further on that. I think at the end of the day, these picks are all really solid across the board. It's the Houston-Austin game, man. I really want to pick a winner, but I'm okay with leaving it as is. I really want to have a winner for that
Houston
game.
Is probably going to win it.
They haven't drawn in 8 games. Yeah,
Houston
they haven't drawn each other in 8 games. So,
Austin
has steals a point, that'll say a lot about Austin FC.
Surprise. I agree.
Hey, Edna, let me ask you this before we go. If Austin steal a point, or if they steal all 3, if they go to Shell Energy, get the win, is Wolf out movement done rest of the year? It never comes back. You're good to go.
No, that's
bro. Come on, man. No. What kind of question is that, man?
Winning 3 out of 4 with this rebuilding version of Austin FC. You don't think that's something?
Is that more credit to the players or more to the coach?
It's honestly more credit to the players because the wins that we've had this season, the players have had to dig it out. They've had to really, really push themselves. I mean, we got a scrappy win against San Jose, and fans were happy. Fans were like, "We'll fit, bro. We're beating the worst team in MLS 4-3." You know what I'm saying? Just because you beat Dallas, it was a game, but you concede 3, brother. You concede 3, brother. You know what I'm saying? So whenever you put that into consideration, you beat Dallas, you beat San Jose. Those are 2 good wins. It's 6 points when you think about it in a whole different way. But when you look at the competition, the kind of opponents that you managed to beat, and then you come against a team like St. Louis that brings you back to reality, kind of brings you back down to earth, it really puts it into perspective what kind of team Austin FC is right now. And no, if you beat Houston or if you get points in Houston, it's not going to change anybody's mind in Austin. I think if anybody that's Wolf out, they're going to be Wolf out, even if Josh Wolf delivers any kind of significant trophy. It's done. I'm sorry. It's done.
No, I agree with you. Again, I said it before. I believe Austin FC will turn a corner when Wolf is officially out. But until then, you got to kind of ride the wave for a little bit. So we'll see what happens. But lads, that is it. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Just one last thing. For Wolf, the next 3 games are going to be very important. Austin plays the current top 3 teams in the West. They play Houston Saturday. They play LA Galaxy after that. And they play Vancouver.
Yeah, and something to note, by the way, because I've already kind of moved this trip once due to me being sick, and I'm going to be able to finally go. I will be at that day game versus the LA Galaxy. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I can't wait to see the atmosphere, bro. I mean, Fagundes obviously coming back to the Q2 for that one. Should be interesting storylines too. And I haven't been to an MLS day game in I don't know how long, 12:30 or 12:45, whatever it's going to be. So I'll be there full-fledged, ready to watch some shenanigans and some shithousery on the field. But lads, that's it. That is our tier list. If you disagree with any of these takes, let us know as you always do in the comments down below. And look, at the end of the day, 2 massive rivalry matches ahead for match day 10. Let us know in the comments who you think are going to win. That Texas derby between Houston and Austin, that Midwest rivalry between St. Louis trying to get revenge on Sporting Kansas City. I got a feeling we're gonna walk back some of these takes, but at the end of the day, a lot of juicy matchups on the horizon.
We're not walking back St. Louis. No way, man. Can't walk that one back. Impossible.
Kevin's just going to sit there and wait. I love it, bro. I love it. We'll see what happens. But look, anyway, guys, that's a wrap for this show. From everybody here at Wake Up MLS, my name's Jose. That's Gavincho. That's Hector. That's Hernan. That's Riley. We'll catch you guys next time.